The middle classes will now find it difficult to get pure EVs. It's obvious that the decision to outlaw pure ICE was made solely out of ideology. These AVs are fraud. The CEO of Jeep recently made an unexpected demand that infuriated all EV manufacturers, but thrilled combustion and auto enthusiasts. CEO Carlos Tavares is against the impending ban on gas-powered cars because he detests the concept of switching to 100 electric vehicles. Tavares is speaking out against EVs and has become the voice of the middle class. How come? Because he thinks the middle class as a whole might be destroyed by the present EVs. From the rooftops, he is demanding that autos be made accessible to the average person. He's oppressive to outlaw combustion engines in favor of more expensive electric vehicles. Why is the CEO of Stellantis Jeep so doubtful about EVs? What is it about electricity that the world's creators don't want you to know about? And what startling request did the CEO make to every manufacturer of electric vehicles? The CEO of Stellantis, Carlos Tavares, has made a very explicit demand of the car industry. If you're going to promote electric vehicles, get them on the market at a reasonable price, under $25,000, rather than selling automobiles that are costly, have pointless technical additions, and lack usability or personal profit. In a New York interview, Tavares said very precisely that the regulatory framework is clear. You either die or sell EVs. Carlos Tavares is renowned for being straightforward, as seen in a recent discussion. He shared his opinions regarding the way the car industry is going, particularly with regard to electrification. EVs must be reasonably priced. They need greater range in addition to the proper charging network density. On the range, we're not there yet. EVs must be able to go at least 4,000 miles between charges in order to eliminate range anxiety. Tavares emphasized that EVs must become more widely available and not merely via artificial means like subsidies in order to be effective. He clarified the greater cost dynamics of EV manufacturing, saying that because of advancements in technology, EV production is 40 more expensive than that of internal combustion vehicles. The cost of this is borne by the average person. However, what are all the businesses and vendors doing? By further raising the costs and profiting from innovation, they are preventing the middle class from affording it. How many decent AVs can you still get for under $30,000 today? According to Tavares, the automakers should bear the first portion of the high production expenses rather than passing them on to the consumers. He claims that EVs are now facing 3 significant issues, none of which are being discussed at the moment. More on that in a few minutes. When automakers such as Ford and GM are racing to electrify their whole portfolio, why doesn't any car maker provide the average person the option to choose? The primary justification for Stellantis and Chief's current push for hybrids over EVs is that they have a longer range, emit less pollutants, and don't need as much of the still required extensive infrastructure for charging. Let's now discuss the 3 main issues that the CEO of Jeep forewarned everyone about. The third is so bad that it physically kills hundreds of underprivileged kids every year. The first problem is the very high entrance barrier, which is made worse by dealers' deliberate refusal to sell electric vehicles EVs. More on that in a moment. Electric vehicles are a representation of the future on the one hand, offering lower greenhouse gas emissions, better air, and less reliance on oil. However, the market is confronted with financial difficulties such as excess inventory, unfulfilled orders, and rising costs. Dealership inventory of unsold EVs has been building, which has put pressure on firms like Tesla to lower prices. North American automakers have invested billions in the conversion to electric vehicles. They are faced with a clear dilemma: lower output, lower earnings, or lower pricing. There's a lot at risk. By 2026, there will be more than 90 new AV models available in the US market. Their profitability is yet unknown, however. 3 times more unsold electric vehicles EVs are in stock at well-known manufacturers like GM, Ford, Hyundai, and Toyota than they were a year ago. The average cost of an electric vehicle broke $66,000. The annual growth rate for electric automobiles was an astounding 54.3%, much exceeding the 10.1% growth rate for their gas-powered equivalents. An astounding 66 of us auto shops didn't have a single EV for sale, which infuriated the general public and forced retailers to raise prices for popular models. Even more absurd is the fact that even in the event that they could, dealers refuse to stock EVs, Some are put off by the infrastructural requirements, such as the need for charging stations. Others are put off by the necessity for technicians to have EV certificates. Still others are just not prepared to make the switch. The government is still pushing for you to purchase electric vehicles via subsidies in spite of this opposition. The aggressive target set by the Biden administration to have 2/3 of us car sales be electric vehicles by 2032 may not align with the views of the industry as it is now. Not whether EVs are the future, but rather if they ought to be the future is the matter at hand. Something really sinister is happening here right now. To make money, the lawmakers first made a lot of brands develop a lot of electric vehicles. However, this has now backfired since people are beginning to see how EVs aren't quite feasible now. People seem to forget that outlawing internal combustion engines is the ultimate aim, not lowering pollution. Surprisingly, we can now do it without using EVs. I'll discuss it at the conclusion of the movie. The second significant problem is these EVs' enormous weight. As the low-cost CEO pointed out, increasing range also requires larger batteries, which presents a serious safety issue. The weight of their batteries makes electric cars generally much heavier than their gasoline-powered equivalents. For example, the 2023 GMC Hummer F weighs more over 9,000 pounds and contains a 2,900-pound battery. By comparison, the weight of the comparable-sized gas car, the 2023 GMC Sierra, is less than 6,000 pounds. Here's why this might be dangerous. According to a National Bureau of Economic Research, the baseline likelihood of death in a vehicle increases by 47 for every 1,000 pounds that is added. If the heavier car is an SUV, pickup truck, or minivan, the danger is significantly higher. There have been several EV fires in the recent past, and if these batteries become older, this might turn into a regular problem. The need for EVs to not only be reasonably priced and have a longer range, but also to drastically reduce their weight is imperative. The extra weight also requires more resources, increases tire wear, and uses more energy. And now for the final issue, which may really surprise you. Replace all of the older internal combustion engine automobiles with hybrid engines instead. This will instantly lower emissions by 50%. Raw resource shortages, hundreds of children, and the death of Mother Nature. The CEO of Stellantis, Carlos Tavares, emphasized the difficulties facing the electric vehicle sector by pointing out that costly and rare raw minerals like lithium are needed for EVs. He underlined that there isn't enough lithium being created to provide clean mobility alternatives for the 13 million ICE-powered automobiles that are now in use worldwide. Tavares supports electric vehicles tourists, but isn't afraid to criticize government policies that ignore other viable sustainable options in favor of electric mobility. Ironically, blood batteries contaminate many EVs, which are supposed to be the epitome of a sustainable future. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, or DRC, is home to more than half of the world's cobalt supply. The country is rife with violence, extreme poverty, and widespread corruption. For its citizens, the DRC's creation is a double-edged sword. Although the metal seems to provide an escape from poverty, the methods used to get it are terrifying. To mine this blue treasure, children, some as young as 6, brave potentially fatal circumstances in cramped tunnels. They run the risk of long-term health problems because they lack protective clothing. For what purpose? A few bucks, not enough to make up for their labors. Benz, Tesla, Volvo, and other well-known manufacturers may advocate for a zero-tolerance policy on child labor. But nobody informs you about this sinister story. China's involvement in this cobalt dilemma is also concerning. In addition to being the world's largest producer of refined cobalt, the nation plays a significant role in the DRC's cobalt market, often engaging what are known as blood batteries. Given the complex political environment and the growing amount of electric vehicle manufacturing, the USA is now highly dependent on China for resources. The possibility of this resource supply being cut off at any time will cause prices to skyrocket. Given the worrying information that has come to light about the sustainability of EV materials, it seems as if Jeep may have discovered a way to completely alter the rules. When it comes to the competition for alternative fuels, green ammonia fuel ammonia, or H3, may not appear like a strong candidate, but more investigation reveals that it has a lot of promise. To put things in perspective, ammonia has more useful hydrogen than even pure hydrogen. While at normal room temperature, pure hydrogen continues to be a diffuse gas. Ammonia is a more competitive candidate in terms of energy density since it can be liquefied more effectively. To put that into perspective, an ordinary fuel cell electric vehicle could run for an astounding 400 kilometers on a 60-liter tank of ammonia, emitting just nitrogen and water as pollutants. Other businesses are looking at similar options as well, including Honda, Toyota, and BMW. Moving against the current, Jeep is taking a chance on a move that might make or kill the firm. Do you believe that a ban on combustion engines is necessary? Do EVs pose a fraud? Tell me in the comments section below. We just posted a video on important news that might harm the electric vehicle market as a whole. If you want to be genuinely surprised by what's going to happen with EVs, definitely check it out.